Under the Lights, powered by Heaton Eye Associates, Ultra Federal Credit Union, Pratt Homes, Pelsey Chevrolet, and Dairy Queen.
Welcome to week 2 Under the Lights. This was an interesting week. We're going to see how the next 29 minutes go because we're soaking wet. It was raining everywhere. Schedules are all thrown off. Every game is in the third quarter. It's a mess. It's just a mess. But forget all of that. What matters is this was rivalry week. Very creative name. It got started last night with Chapel Hill White House. It ends tomorrow. Lee versus John Tyler.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate to say I did not get rained on in my game, so that was a wonderful thing. Now, of course, there are plenty of other games this week. Some rivalries, like Keith just said, like Marshall playing Longview, and some other games that were just great, like Banning Gilmer.
Yeah, that one actually turned out really well. We could sit here and list all the games for you,
Let's do
or
it.
we could actually just show you the highlights and scores, like a show tends to do. It seems like the better option. But before we get to all the highlights and scores, it's time for our weekly reminder. We want to hear from you. Our digital director, Matthew Copeland, is in the building. He is all over your social medias, your Facebooks, your Twitters, and the like. He is watching everything you are saying. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you want to talk smack about a team or just brag a little, let us know. We like hearing from you, each and every one of you, no matter what you have to say.
Personally, I like smack talkers, Keith.
Yeah, I know.
All right, now that we got all that out of the way, let's get to some of the fun stuff. That is why we're here. Now, we're going to start the show with one of the longest running rivalries, and I don't just mean in East Texas. I'm talking about statewide.
Yeah, Marshall and Longview have been playing for a very, very, very long time. Older than Kevin. Their first game in this series was on Thanksgiving Day in 1909, or to put it another way, about 4.5 years before World War I got started. Tonight, they met for the 108th time. You voted, and you made it our Game of the Week.
Game of the Week.
This series has been dominated by Longview in recent years. Lobos have won 16 of the last 17 against the Mavericks. Boy, they came out hot today. Haynes King, 38-yard touchdown run right off the bat. They are already up 7-0. Next possession, Lobos in the red zone again. Jesse Anderson this time. The man is like a bowling ball. Punches in from 6 yards out. Now it's 14-0. Still in the first quarter, it's Anderson again, into the end zone. Now it's 21-0. I think you're sensing how this one goes. Mavericks trying to do something. Traylon Lewis, woo, no, that's not what you want to do. Ball pops out, Longview recovers. A few plays later, though, what goes around comes around. It's like a song or something. Haynes King to Camden Perry, but the ball pops out, picked off by Marshall. Mavericks finally trying to do something. Perfect pass from J.J. Green to Kendrick Bender. He takes it to the house. 21-7 Longview at that point, but the Lobos respond in an enormous way. King, keeper again, he had a huge night. 50-yard touchdown, makes it 28-7. Take a look at the final score in this one. Oh my goodness, 60-14. Longview beats Marshall. Ryan Moyes at the game. We're going to try and get a report from him coming up later in the show.
By the way, Keith, the name of the song is What Goes Around Comes Around by Justin Timberlake. Get it together, man. All right, now while we're talking about long-running rivalries, there's a good one down in the southern part of our area. Nacogdoches and Lufkin have been playing almost as long as Longview and Marshall have. That's older than Keith Leventhal. First series was back in 1911. But in recent years, there's been a lot of different things going on with this rivalry. So we're going to go straight ahead and go straight into the highlights right now to see who's going to take care of this business today. Let's go straight to the highlights. Or we can look at me, whatever's better. Probably the highlights. Oh, look at that. Kiki Cutie in the building. Yes, we're going to pick it up in the first quarter. Panthers waste no time getting on the board. Jordan Moore calls his own number. Good idea. He runs it in for the touchdown. Kid is just a sophomore. All right, now we're going to go a little bit later. Here comes Nacogdoches quarterback Jake Smith. Rolls out looking for a receiver. Like a good neighbor, Julian Diaz is there. Oh, he brings home the bacon. Pick up a nice chunk of yardage. That will lead to this. First and goal for the Dragons. Day Tyrell McKnight punches it in for the touchdown. That would tie things up, but Lufkin would pull away. Later on, Titan Williams takes the shovel pass, and he has more finesse than Bruno Mars and Cardi B. Name that song, Keith. This one all the way in for the touchdown. Panthers go on to defeat Nacogdoches 45-7. Now let's run through a few other 5A scores from tonight. Hallsville, they're in action towards Kilgore. They beat them by 10. Forney drops one to, well, actually this one's in the fourth quarter. They're trailing by 3 to Lindell. Also, we got some more scores here, I think. Wait for it. There we go. Pittsburgh over Pine Tree, 20-16, and that's actually in the fourth quarter as well. And also with Sulphur Springs and Lovejoy, that game was canceled, I'm assuming due to Mother Nature. Keith Leventhal, back to you, sir.
You don't want to talk about Paris, North Lamar, and Mount Pleasant?
I would love to if they come up. Let's see. There we go, baby. Mount Pleasant all over Paris, North Lamar, 45-7. I think I'm done with these scores, Keith.
My turn to talk now. I mean, we can talk about Mount Pleasant for a while, but we don't need to. We've talked about 2 big rivalry games so far, but it's just the tip of the iceberg on what we're calling Rivalry Week. I know, it's a very clever name. Christus Trinity Mother Francis Football Classic is home to 3 rivalry games in 3 days at Rose Stadium. There was one yesterday. There'll be one tomorrow. We're going to talk about both those in a minute. As for the middle game of the Classic, it featured Jacksonville and Palestine. Wildcats won 5 of the last 6 in the series. Indians' opening drive stalls, so they're going to pooch punt it. Smart strategy. Chris Carpenter, great kick. It's going to die inside the 10, but it bounces sideways, hits a Palestine player. It's live. Jacksonville will recover, and that would lead to this. Hand it to Aaron Richardson. He punches it in. Extra point, no good. Indians up 6-0. Next Jacksonville drive, they're going to go to the air. Remember the name Tristan Shoemake. He's good. Going deep, Joydason Thompson. I messed that up at 10. I'm sure I messed it up at 11. Pretty touchdown pass stretch lead to 13-0. Palestine trying to respond. No one blocks Keelan Miles, though. Not the best strategy. Smushes the quarterback, technical term. Take a look at the score in this one. Started very late because of weather. Right now, Jacksonville leading Palestine 34-12. First rivalry game at Rose Stadium was last night. The Lake Tyler rivalry, Chapel Hill and White House getting together. First possession for White House, they strike. Flint Harrington airs it out. Kendarian Johnson, defender on him, still makes the catch. 36-yard touchdown. Was Wildcats up 7-0. They were up 15-0 after 1. Chapel Hill would finally get going in the second. Jackson Heckel to Darius Warren. That is pretty. That cuts the White House lead to 15-6. Final minute of the first half. Chapel Hill driving again in the red zone. Heckel rolls, picked off by Michael Robbie. Bye-bye. 92-yard return for the touchdown. The Wildcats move to 2-0. They beat Chapel Hill for the 7th straight season. Final score was 37-6.
All right, the final rivalry game at Rose Stadium is tomorrow night, and it's the big one. Rose City rivalry, Lee versus John Tyler. Now, this would be the 63rd game between these 2 teams. It will be lit out there. It's been a fairly even series. JT, 32 wins, Lee, 29. And they had 1 tie back in 1990. Didn't even know they had ties anymore. In recent years, the Red Raiders have played well in this game. Lee has won 3 of the last 4 in the series, including a 34-30 win last year. And there's a lot riding on the game since both teams lost their season opener last week. Kickoff of the Crosstown Showdown will be tomorrow night at 7. We'll have full highlights of that tomorrow night at 10.
All right, now as promised, Longview dropped 60 points on Marshall to move to 2-0. Our own Ryan Moy was at that game, caught up with the Lobos after the big win.
Both the Longview Lobos and the Marshall Mavericks entered this game 1-0 on the season, but only one can come away with the W.
Well, you know, Marshall's a really good football team. We did some things early that just kind of got on them and got them out of sync, you know, but they're very talented, and they're going to be a team to reckon with. I'm telling you, I talked with Claude before the game, but a lot of respect for them and what they're doing. But, you know, we got some turnovers, got some big plays. We capitalized at the right moment, and, you know, I'm just pleased with the outcome. Of course, I'd like for us to play a little bit better and be able to run the ball a little bit more consistently on offense, and then defense with some of the penalties hurt us, extended some drives. But, hey, that's to be expected in a rivalry game like this. They came to play, too, and just another Longview-Marshall showdown. You know, fortunate to be 2-0, but, you know, we'll flush this from tonight when we get back to the field house to go to work on the next one. That's kind of always been our motto, because we play a really tough schedule, and there's a lot of football left to be played, and we've got to get better in some areas. But, you know, we've been fortunate enough to come out on the top end of our first 2 games against some really good football teams. Well, I'm proud of the team for, you know, winning this rivalry game and getting that trophy. You know, that's something they take pride in. Of course, anytime you turn the scoreboard on and you can keep score, everybody's playing to win. But to be able to win a game like this and come away with that the trophy that is provided to it is big for our kids. We're real happy that we're able to come out with a win.
In the end, the Lobos came away with the win. They beat the Mavericks 60-14, and they're sitting pretty at 2-0. In Marshall, Ryan Moy, CBS 19 Sports.
Wow, Longview. They might be for real this year.
I mean, I would say 60 points in a game, that's like video game.
Against Marshall, who beat up on Lee. It's all right. We could talk about them all night, but we got a lot more to get to, and we're going to get to all of it in just a minute. But first, trivia time. Last week, Quitman won, snapping their 43-game losing streak. That was the longest losing streak in East Texas by a whole lot. And that leads us to our trivia question. With the Bulldogs winning, who has the longest active losing streak in East Texas? Here are 2 hints. 1, it's actually not that long. And 2, it's none of the 3 teams we mentioned last year when we asked this question. Answer coming up after a short break. Well, before the break, we asked you who has the longest active losing streak in East Texas. We did this trivia question last year. Quitman, Crossroads, and Fruitvale were the top 3 then. Well, they've all won in the last 11 months. So here is your new top or bottom 3. Palestine Westwood, the longest streak, but it's just 10 games. Cayuga next with 8. They were actually matched last night by Chapel Hill. I can promise you at least one of the teams on this list will come off of it this month. Elkhart and Westwood play each other in 3 weeks.
Sounds good, Keith. Now, we've talked a lot about rivalries so far, but not every game this week is a rivalry. Some are just darn good games. 2 of the top 4A teams in East Texas are Band and Gilmer. Now, over the last 2 seasons, the Vandals have gone 22-4, while the Buckeyes have gone 23-5. Now, that's just crazy good. Tonight, these 2 powerhouse teams met for the first time in 7 years. Oh, grab your popcorn. We'll pick it up in the first quarter. Van going to work. Liam Nilsson drops back and drops an absolute dime to Haas Brewer, who would get pulled out right inside the 5-yard line. Van would punch in the touchdown on the following play. Later on, Van driving again. Jayton Muffet dumps it off to Elijah Rankin. Rankin's legs do the rest. Run, Rankin, run. He gets it for the touchdown. Vandals take an early 14-0 lead, but back comes Gilmer. Mason Hurtback throws a deep ball. Now the ball gets lost in the night sky, but Dylan Fluellen doesn't lose it. Oh, he not only catches it, but he'll take it all the way in for the 82-yard touchdown. That put the Buckeyes within 7. Later on, Mason Hurt at it again. He hits Trey Fluellen, and he's going to take it to the house. If your last name is Fluellen and you play for the Buckeyes, darn good game. Gilbert goes on to come back and win this one 42-41.
Now, those are 2 very good 4A teams. But if we're going to talk about the best of the best in 4A, you've got to talk about Carthage. Bulldogs lost a ton of talent from last year's team. So what are they going to do this year? They just reloaded and crushed Jacksonville by 41 last week. Tonight, Bulldogs looking for another big win as they took on Liberty Ilo. Carthage struggled, believe it or not, for a while in this one, going downfield, but it is going to be picked off by Cedric Dickerson. Leopards really keeping this game close. A little later, Leopards on the move. Great nickname, by the way. But this drive would stall because he didn't get the first down. So let's go back the other way. You know, not all the highlights are winners, fellas. Bulldogs coming right back. Tucker Smith, he had a great first week game. Great second week game, too. Going up the middle, breaking some tackles. Gonna pick up a lot of yards. And then Gunner Caps, gonna roll, gonna throw. Hits Caden Holdcomb, who gets spun around. And then Tucker Smith, hey, a touchdown. There were a lot of those, even though we're only gonna show you one. 7-7 after that. Take a look at the score. Carthage would go on to win big, although it took some work, 42-28.
Now, speaking of defending state champs, Pleasant Grove looking to improve to 2-0 with Henderson in town. We'll pick this up early on. Henderson QB drops back, throws a pass, but he hits the wrong guy. It's picked off by that dude, Ryan Pickleman. Pickleman gets the pick. A few plays later, we have a quarterback, Ben Harmon. He lofts a pass downfield, and that's a nice sizable gain right there. He's fired up. And then another pass right here coming up. Oh, he loves to go to the air. He hits that guy, number 3. I don't have a name for him, but number 3 gets the ball down. Then another pass right here. He's going to take it around, and he gets in for the touchdown. And with that being said, we'll bring up the final score right there. Henderson ends up falling to Pleasant Grove 33-24.
Move through the rest of tonight's 4A scores. Spring Hill, this game just went final. They beat Bullard 17-14. Canton Mineola game gets canceled. Brownsboro at Fairfield tonight. High-scoring game, Fairfield wins. Athens Rusk, a thriller. Athens wins by 1. You're going to see no scores on this next page. Maybay, Kemp, and Carrollton Ranchview Wills Point both canceled tonight. Center had to go out to Jefferson. They are a tough team to play, and Jefferson would end up beating them 33-14, and Diboll all over Huntington 55-0. Well, in 3A, we had an intriguing game tonight. Gladewater looked really good last week as they put up 61 points in their opener, but coming off of a 2-8 season, are the Bears for real in 2018? Well, we get a good answer to that question tonight. That's because Gladewater faced 8th-ranked Atlanta. Rabbits almost beat Gilmer last week. Gladewater is actually for real. Bears picking up where they left off. Elijah Carter, he's a workhorse. You're going to hear his name a lot. 16-yard game on that play. Next play, fake it, pitch it back to Carter, and he's gone. 40 yards for the touchdown. Gladewater takes a 6-0 lead. Gladewater defense also for real. Andrew Samples back to pass. Zach Tyeski gets the sack. Next play, no different. Bears going to come after him again. Keston Wilson takes him down to the turf this time. Lots of sacks, lots of running. Gladewater offense, all Elijah Carter. He just keeps running. You see the score there. Gladewater, they're going to move into the poll this week. They are just crushing Atlanta. At last check, 30-7 in the fourth quarter.
Woo-wee! Now, we've shown you a lot of the best offensive teams in East Texas so far in the show because everyone loves offense, but it's not always about the offense. Defense wins championships, and two of the best defensive teams in the region also got together tonight. Let's go there. West Rusk and Wascom gave up a total of just 6 points in week one. Tonight, they face each other. Points hard to come by. Look at this early on. Quarterback Jacob Norris keeps it, and he has daylight. He could go all the way to the end zone, but he would be pulled down right within the 5-yard line right there. Nice run for the kid. Now, very next play, a lot of tackling and something going on. It's a fumble picked up by West Russell. Looks like they'll take it back in. Oh, look at the big guy there. Oh, he's fired up. That guy's happy. All right, next time, Norrison on the offense. Toss to TK Hamilton. Oh, he throws it. It's the halfback pass. That guy is more wide open than wide open. All right, then it's a defensive play for Wascom. Fourth down, stop. And that's why defense wins championships. We're going to pull up the final score on this right here. And West Rusk, barely squeaks past Wascom, 18-17.
They actually scored late to get that win. Two more very good East Texas teams collided tonight. Harmony traveling to Elysian Fields. Harmony, boy, they are just going to be really good this year. Leo Ariano with the interception there. I pronounced it right, I think. And that would lead to this. Barrett Hill, the running back, going to go right through everybody, and he's in for the touchdown. Elysian Fields, they're trying to get something going. They are a good team. Taking everyone from Harmony to bring them down. Everybody. Michael Ramirez just not going to do anything. They would manage to slow Harmony down a little bit, get the sack there, but Barrett Hill, he's going to be good. You're going to want to remember that name, too. He would run in another touchdown. Take a look at the score in this one. Harmony, big win over Elysian Fields, 42-21.
Now, Art got shut out in week one by West Rusk. Tonight, the Tigers face another tough task. They hosted Hugh Springs. We'll pick this one up early on. Hugh Springs' first drive, quarterback, he hands it off to Bryce Johnson. And look at Bryce Johnson. The kid will not go down. Well, after getting 15 yards gain, he goes down. Now, on the ensuing kickoff, Art players unable to figure out who should catch the ball. So Union Hill's Colt Mallory says, I'll get it.
That's Hugh Springs.
That's Hugh Springs. Thank you, Keith, for have your back there. All right, so that's Hugh Springs. He gets a couple of plays later. Travion Kennedy. The kid has power, and he can run. He gets in for the touchdown there. Now it's 12-0 Union Hill. Later on, Art going back to pass. That ball's going deep into the hands of that guy. Oh, he drops it. We'll blame it on the water. That guy, Taylor Wright, I believe it is. At any rate, we'll bring up the final score there. Hugh Springs blanks Art 46-0.
All right, let's go through some of tonight's 3A scores. White Oak, good win over New Diana, 35-7. No score from the Winsboro game. Elkhart, going to get a win, I believe, over Frankston, 19-7 in the fourth. Palestine Westwood, the losing streak continues. They fall 23-0. Winona and Eustis started playing, then it rained, canceled. Emory Rains Malakoff, canceled. See a theme here? Farmersville Mount Vernon, canceled. Caddo Mills Edgewood, I don't know, let's just say canceled, why not? Palmer Grand Saline, guess what? Canceled. Scurry Rosser, Quitman, well, Quitman didn't lose this week, canceled. And one 3A game on the schedule tomorrow, unless it gets canceled, Tatum and Dangerfield and EKYKX game of the week. Now, we're not quite through all of the 3A action yet. I think we have a few more cancels to mention. One of the other Game of the Week nominees is coming up next, along with some really good private school games. But first, we need to take a break. It's a little crazy here. As we go to break, we want to remind you about our Player of the Week award. Our inaugural winner, White House Junior running back and linebacker Peyton Kennedy. If you've got someone you want to nominate, let us know. We will comb through all the stats to pick our next winner, and you will meet him Wednesday at 6, and we will be back with more high school football action in just 90 seconds.
Welcome back to Under the Lights. We're not tired yet. Now, there are a couple of good games tonight between 3A and 2A teams. In fact, one looked so good on paper, it was the Game of the Week nominee.
Yeah, Carlisle's expected to be pretty good, and they didn't disappoint in their opener. Troop, though, a bit of a surprise, beating Tenaha last week. All that set up an intriguing Week 2 matchup between Carlisle and Troop. Rain couldn't keep the spirits down in Troop tonight. Late second half, Troop up 14-7. Wesley Ross hands it to Caleb Smith, picks up 35 yards, but that drive would stall out. Carlisle would respond. Gerald Turner looking deep, finds Jay Price down the field. He will make the grab. Nice catch. Takes it inside the 20 before he is brought down, and a couple of plays later, it's Turner again. This time, why pass when you can just keep it? Gets around, gets into the end zone, ties the game at 14. Take a look at the score. Good game on paper. Good game in reality. Troop right now at last check up 28-20 in the third quarter.
All right, and for the 5th straight year, Ore City won their season opener tonight. They went for 2 in a row as they played Joaquin. We'll pick this up early on. Hunter Gates for Joaquin. This kid has nothing but the gates of the end zone on his mind. He gets through the pearly gates for the touchdown. They go up 7-0. Coming back, I love this kid's name. She's excited too. Boogie Lane. Yes, Boogie's down with a sack there. Give it up for Boogie Lane. Finally, we'll just bring up that final score here. This was a lot of Joaquin tonight. 50-0. They blank them. Now, there were a few other games between 3A and 2A teams tonight. We'll bring up those scores. Sabine over Chevyville. This is the fourth quarter, 31-14. And Crockett gets past Garrison by 14. Final there. Also, we have Kearns, I believe, or Big Sandy. They get past Alba Golden, low score game 6-0. Kearns and Blooming Grove, we have no score, could have been canceled. Who knows?
2A games tonight. We don't have any highlights from them, but we do have a whole lot of scores. Let's go through them fast. Union Grove beats Overton. Timpson 7 points over Alto in the third quarter. Tenahan Lovelady, weird score here, like a baseball score. 14-2. Tenahan gets the win. Beckville beats West Sabine big, 43-21. Sims Bowie was in Harleton. Low scoring, 7-6. Cushing and Mount Enterprise. That game got canceled because of the rain. Cayuga at Grapeland. 28-8, Grapeland wins. Groveton all over Trinity, 40-8 in the fourth. Crossroads, not a good night for them. They fall 49-0. And Como-Picton, not the most exciting, but a win's a win. They win 6-0 over Detroit. Down at the private school level, we're all expecting TK Gorman quarterback Jake Smith to throw for more or less 1,000,000 yards this year. He got off to a good start last week, throwing for 355 and 4 touchdowns as the Crusaders opened the year with a win. Tonight, Gorman back at home facing a top 10 team as Fort Worth Christian was in town. Opening drive, Cardinals down to the 3. Isaiah Diggs will punch it in for the touchdown, 7-0 after that. Gorman comes back down the field, hands it to Jeremiah Milton. You know what he can do. Milton's make all sorts of things happen. Gorman would end up scoring, and they would score a lot more after that. Take a look at the final score. Gorman, 54-42, they beat Fort Worth Christian. Quickly, we're going to talk about the Grace game. They played Redwater tonight at home, and this game was a high-scoring affair. Redwater hands it to Jackson Feemster, picks up some yardage. That will set up a Peyton Davis 24-yard touchdown for Redwater. Look at the score, though. A lot of points in this one. Grace, 75-54 is the final. All right, we're going to come back to us. We got to tell you, we've got our Coach of the Week coming up in just a minute. You're going to want to hear from him. Lexi Hudson talked to him. That's coming up. We're going to take a short break. You'll catch him on the other side of this.
It's Coach of the Week, presented by Whataburger.
Last week, we kicked off our new Coach of the Week segment. This year, we're working with our partners at KYKX Radio to recognize some of the top coaches in East Texas. This week, our honoree is someone who's been on the sidelines for almost 3 decades and has had a lot of success coaching kids on and off the field. Lexi Hudson introduces us to our Week 2 Whataburger Coach of the Week.
With more than 25 years of high school coaching experience, you could call him a coaching veteran. He left the Indians once before, but returned in 2015 to lead the team. His goal as a head coach, to build a program of champions who succeed on and off the field. He's our Week 2 Whataburger Coach of the Week, head coach at Jacksonville High School, Wayne Coleman.
Everybody always has role models that they look up to, and whenever I was going through high school and playing football, I loved my high school football coach. Just what he stood for, a family man, great values, made me feel like I could be a difference maker as a coach.
He takes each and every one of us and he plays an important role as far as coaching us in a more personal way, as teaching us how to be an adult, and he puts real world perspective on the football field.
Our kids do so much more than just play the game. It's much more rewarding as a coach to see your kids doing great things in your community than it is to get a bunch of W's.
He's always told us that everything matters. Every little detail matters, whether off the field or on the field.
We want them up here working, trying to become better football players, but in the same time, you have to spend time delivering the message. I care more about what they do not on game night than what they do on game night. Everybody wants to win, but next year nobody's going to remember what the score of the third game of the season was. They're going to remember what your kids are doing out there when they're away from the program. They're going to remember the impact they're having on our community.
I've always loved play for someone else. He tells us that before every game, because when you're thinking of someone else, when you're doing something for someone else, you're going to do it a lot better than you would just for yourself.
Society, culture has changed so much in the last 30 years that you have to constantly be changing with it.
Let's go, hurry up!
And identify the struggles they're going through and the guidance that they need.
Coach Coleman is kind of more than a coach. He's a father figure.
He's very tough, but he's very caring because he truly cares for us in the way he provides for us. But he's also very tough because he doesn't want us screwing up anything or making mistakes that'll affect us later in life.
If you ever have the chance to meet him, you can meet him and talk to him, and you can learn some really good stuff from him. Talk football with him, talk life with him, talk whatever you want with him, and he can teach you some stuff.
Great coach. We're going to have more on another coach next week. All right, real quick. Team you like this week?
4 words. How about them Lobos?
60 points against Marshall. Pretty good. Hey, I like the private schools. Gorman puts up 54 against the state-ranked team. Grace, 75. There'll be some offense at that TAPS level. Get that TAPS pass ready. All right, we'll see you back here. It was a crazy week. Hopefully no rain next week. We'll see you back here for week 3 of the season. Have a good week.